Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching. Today is the last LinkedIn Live for 2025. And I have thoroughly enjoyed being here every week recording something for you and sharing my insights related to the wellness industry. Either if you're a landowner or a founder who wants to create a boutique property that genuinely integrates wellness throughout the guest and employee experience, or if you're a wellness leader who wants to transition into consulting. So it's been 52 videos that I have done for you. And it has been an absolute pleasure. And I'm looking forward to recording more next year. Now, today is the second part of a two-part series that I am doing for those wellness leaders who want to transition into consulting. And what I specifically want to target with this two-part series is to show wellness leaders the typical mistakes they make when they transition into consulting and why those fatal mistakes, so to speak, actually make or break their consulting careers. And it can even go a step further. If it breaks your consulting career, it can also drive you away from the industry you love so much. Just because you get to that point where you feel depleted, frustrated, and you think everything is just uphill in this industry, and you leave it for another industry that looks or feels easier or is perhaps more established. Last week, I talked about the mistakes I see wellness leaders make when they go into consulting and how 90% of wellness leaders fail in the first year when they transition into consulting. And the reason they do that is because 90% of businesses fail in the first year of operation. And when you transition into consulting, consulting is also entrepreneurship. It is you setting up your own business. And the same rules and regulations apply to you. It doesn't matter if it's in the wellness industry, the same rules and regulations regarding business setup affect you. So 90% of consultants fail in the first year. And the reason they do it is because they take all their problems and frustrations they have had while being in the operations role, the employee, and they think that consulting will rescue them from those problems. So they look at consulting as a form of an escape mechanism. And consulting doesn't work when it is used to fix a problem that it wasn't designed to fix. Consulting entrepreneurship was never ever designed to fix you and your problems around the industry. Consulting entrepreneurship wellness offers are designed to solve the wellness problems of your clients, those people who need your expertise in order to do wellness properly. So when you use consulting to fix the wrong problem, of course it won't work. But consulting is undoubtedly a very lucrative business. And being a wellness consultant today is one of the most coveted roles possible because the wellness industry is worth over $7 trillion and it is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. The number of players in our industry is growing exponentially each year. And each new player needs your expertise to help them understand wellness and to do wellness properly. So, wellness does work, and wellness consulting works even more. So, the key to success with consulting is not bringing in more wellness expertise. It's understanding how you successfully transition from an operations role, no matter how business savvy you are, someone who's looking after the business of someone else and selling their products, to selling yourself, to being that entrepreneur, having your own business, selling your own products and your expertise, and finding your clients and delivering them the promise that you made with your product or your offer. It's how you bridge that gap that either makes you or breaks you. And it is a skill that you can learn. If you just try to blindly transition to consulting, there is a very high probability that you will crash and burn. But I have created a 5-step process. I specifically made the Wellness Consultant Blueprint to help you successfully transition from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. A successful wellness consultant, someone who works with clients they want, doing what they want, when they want, and from wherever they want to do it. But you don't get to that point unless you do some key work beforehand. Now, last week, we established that whatever your reasons or your frustrations about wellness, those are things you need to work on before you go into consulting. Because whatever negative associations you have with the industry, that will only be amplified when you have your own business. And once you've got that clear, you then enter the 5-step process. And in step 1, what you do is you determine what consulting path you want to go down. Do you want to be that internal consultant of a hotel chain, a company who wants to integrate wellness and they want an advisor on board with them as a consultant? Or do you want to be a project-based consultant? Someone who comes in for a very specific scope of work during a very specific period of time and is paid a specific amount. And after that, after the job is done, they leave and then they find a new client. Or do you want to be the strategic specialist consultant? Someone who wants to carve out their own niche and deliver on that specialist niche. Now, you do not have to have it all figured out. And you can change your path halfway down the road. But you do have to choose a path. Because if you don't choose what path, internal, project-based, or specialist, you will end up spinning on all the offers that you will get, all the leads, all the possible jobs that you could do. And you will continue to be the jack of all trades, master in none. You will continue to be that wellness leader who is juggling 9 to 10 jobs, but doing none of them incredibly well. And I have been all of these roles. I have adopted these paths, each of them at different stages of my life. During these last 20 years, way back when I started off as an internal consultant for a hotel group. Now, the industry was in a very different place to where it is today, and we did such exciting work. I've also loved being that project based consultant and making all these, building all these relationships, learning a whole new world because you suddenly find out that luxury is done in such a different way across all different kinds of properties out there. You learn and grow so much and make so many connections. And I have enjoyed the project based consultant. And now, as a specialist consultant, carving out my own niche, helping wellness leaders like you transition in to consulting, or wellness founders, landowners who want to create their legacies, and where wellness is an integral part of the entire guest experience. What I have coined the wellness asset. I have enjoyed all these paths. But the reason I have success today is because I chose a path at each moment and each stage of my consulting career. And that helped me not dilute my offering or not spreading myself too thin. And once you have chosen the consulting path, doesn't need to be a forever path. The next step is to create your signature offer. What superpowers do you have? What do you absolutely love doing at this stage of your life, your career, your wellness expertise? And putting that into an offer for a very specific type of client, helping them implement your signature offer. And once you're clear about what is it that you do and what problems do you solve and for who, the next step is to position yourself as the obvious choice. So your clients will think there is no one better than this person to help me create this wellness offering that I want. And the reason this stage 3 is so incredibly important is that if you do not position yourself as the obvious choice and you position yourself as the jack of all trades and master in none, you get lost in the sea of sameness. You essentially become vanilla. You become that generalist consultant who takes on any role that is given to them. And guess what happens? 90% of them fail in year one. And after you have positioned yourself as the obvious choice, that there is no one better than you to deliver your superpower to this particular client, the next step is to actually deliver what you promised, to deliver that service. And not only deliver, but I would encourage you to over deliver. Now, note, I'm using the word over deliver and not burnout. It doesn't mean you go out of your way and do more work than is required. Instead, you go out of your way to blow your clients' minds with the results you deliver, with the wellness offering you create for them, with the problems you solve for them. That going that extra mile, because it gives amazing results, not because it burns you out or keeps you undervalued. And once you have over-delivered, you get that proof of concept that your offer works clients want it, someone has hired you for it, you have over delivered, so you know how to deliver it without the support network of a previous company or a big brand. And you've also got a referral. And you can sign this client on repeat. So, with these 4 steps so far, the first step is choosing your path: internal consultant, project based consultant, or specialist consultant. Because once you know what path you want to go on, it's a lot easier to go to the next stage and know what your superpowers are within that path and creating the offer that only you can offer to the clients that light you up and who you want to serve. And then in step 3, you position yourself as the obvious choice to deliver the offer that only you can deliver. And in step 4, you sign these clients on repeat. You over deliver, get the referral, get your pipeline going. And then in step 5, once you've got the proof of concept, you start building your safety net. You know that, hang on, here I'm onto something. And I also know that this will take time to build. And you build a safety net. You look at your income and you see what exactly are your outgoings and how much money do you need to keep getting in order to cover your living expenses. So you're not making your newborn business feed you when it's only a few months old or less than a year old. And when you build that safety net into your actual consulting business, it prevents you from slipping down the slippery slope of taking that VP role, that global well-being director role, that snazzy role that will be dangled in front of you and that you'll be so tempted to take, because consulting is hard. You do not get your fixed paycheck, at least not in the beginning. Income is erratic, cash flow is erratic, and it's so easy to get seduced by a fancy job title and a great fixed salary with benefits. But if you build that safety net in, you will know that your basic living expenses are covered. So you do not enter that panic mode. You feel safe and you continue to sell that signature offer to only the clients you can serve, and you continue to over deliver. And with time, you create momentum. With time, you create a strong pipeline of clients that will eventually allow you to have a solid business that more than makes up for the income that you were getting as a very high paid wellness director, regional wellness director, global wellness director, or whatever position you were holding before. So that is how you successfully transition into consulting. You only fail when you don't get the structure right. You don't fail because you don't have enough expertise. And you don't fail because consulting is not a lucrative business or there are too many consultants out there. You fail because you've not put the right structure in place to transition successfully from an operations role that requires a very different mindset to that of being an entrepreneur, a consultant, which is a completely different dynamic. And when you transition into that role, there are skills that you need to build. And when you have your safety net in place, you create the space and the safety for yourself in order to develop the skills you need to develop in order to become this very successful consultant. And ultimately, for you to make the impact you want, you know that consulting is the next step for you. You know that the path you had before has reached that dead end. You know you're meant for more. You no longer want to be putting out operational fires. And that more exists. But you have to pave the way into that transition before walking down that route. I liken it to just imagine you're on one cliff here, and then there's a whole kind of, a valley down there, and there's another cliff there. You can either build the ladder or the bridge that gets you to walk successfully to the other end, or you can try do a running jump. So you go all the way back and you do a running jump, and it's a hit and miss. The likelihood of you getting and grabbing onto the other end is far more risky than if you had put a very solid bridge into place and you're walking down that solid bridge. And the 5-step process inside the blueprint is designed to help wellness leaders build their bridge and to very securely and confidently walk down it and transition into consulting. So today, 31st December 2025, is the last day of the year where I'll be making the Wellness Consultant Blueprint available. This is your chance to sign up before midnight today and start hitting the ground running in January 2026. And you start building that bridge from where you are today to successfully transition into consulting so that you can work with who you want to work. You can do the work that lights you up. You can do it from wherever you want to do it. And you can even earn money, good amounts of money for it. Because ultimately, what you want is the freedom to make the impact you want, to have time to enjoy with your family and do things you love doing, to work with people who light you up, and to also have the money to finally live and buy things that you love and enjoy and looking after also your loved ones. So, on that note, I wrap up the second part of the 2-part series. Last week, we saw the critical mistakes that wellness leaders make when they transition into consulting. And we saw how 90% of consultants fail in the first year. And it's not because consulting is not a lucrative business. It's because wellness leaders have tried to use consulting to fix a problem that it wasn't designed to fix. It's not there to fix all your drama, your frustrations with the industry. It's there to help you solve your clients' wellness problems, create the wellness offerings for them. That's what consulting does. And today we saw how transitioning successfully into consulting is so important. You don't fail in consulting because you lack expertise. Your expertise is very needed and it's very solid. It fails when you're unable to choose a path, package your superpowers in a signature offer, position yourself as the obvious choice, and deliver your clients mind-blowing results so that they sign with you on repeat again and again. And you also building your safety net. So you're not putting too much pressure on your business to support your lifestyle. Because fundamentally, that's an unrealistic expectation. Because I remember reading the Phil Knight's book, The Shoe Dog, and he was an accountant by profession. He kept his full time accounting job for a decade before he actually went 100% into his business. And look what Nike is today. Now, if people like them had to wait so long in order to fully transition and create the empires they have, you too need to create your safety net. And it has to be a safety net that is a no brainer, that doesn't drain you from energy. And that's something that you can keep doing while you're still building your consulting business. So, midnight tonight is your last opportunity to join the last cohort of the Wellness Consultant Blueprint of this year, which will be kicking off in January 2026. Wishing you all a wonderful close to 2025 and a beautiful start to 2026. Take care now.